So good evening. Today's gospel is the famous passage of the prodigal son. We all have heard this story a million times. But the story is much more than that prodigal son. Actually, it's a series of parables. There are 4 of them. Because we hear of a lost sheep, a lost coin, the prodigal son, and then we hear of the lost older brother. Everyone in this story gets lost, and everyone is found by the mercy of God. As I was rereading this passage, I noticed something. Is that, the sheep could get lost by its own initiative, perhaps by curiosity. The younger and the older son could get lost by abusing their freedom. But the coin could not get lost on its own power. Somebody had to misplace it. The coin has no will. Somebody had to misplace it. And that's where it clicked. What does it mean to get lost? What does it mean to be prodigal if not being misplaced? So let's talk about that. The sheep got misplaced. We don't know why. Perhaps by fear. Perhaps was trying new pastures and it was lured by the beauty of the vegetation and suddenly found itself alone. The flock was gone. How did I get here? Where is my shepherd? Where am I? The coin was misplaced within the house. Where is it? Perhaps it was in that secret location. We all have that secret location where we put something that is so safe that the mother of the house didn't even remember where she put it. Where is it? How did the coin get in there? I gotta sweep the house. Where is there so I can go find it? It's gotta be somewhere inside the house. It cannot be misplaced forever. The younger son misplaced himself away from home, in a different country, far away from dad, and from his brother, and from the farm. Lured by the empty promises of the world, he misplaced love, and he looked for it in the wrong places, until he found himself empty and alone and hungry. How did I get myself here? Why did I do this to myself? How do I come back to my father? And the older brother also misplaced his identity as son, and instead he saw himself as a slave of the father and not as a son of the father. It's a perfect story of misplaced honor, because he thought that his identity was work. And then finally he found himself outside his own house, refusing to enter to the homecoming party of his recently found brother. So this is the deal, brothers and sisters, is that when we misplace love, that's when we become prodigal, and that's when we get lost. In the first reading, we hear that the people of Israel had become depraved. They turned aside from the way God had pointed out for them, and actually they made for themselves a golden calf, and they were worshiping it. They misplaced worship. They adored the wrong God, and in turn they were lost. They were prodigal. In the second reading, we also hear from St. Paul, who acknowledges that once he was a blasphemer, a persecutor, arrogant, sinful, but that he had been mercifully treated by the Lord. In his former life, Paul misplaced honor, thinking that by killing Christians he was doing a good thing. Because in his misplaced psyche, Paul thought that he was doing a good thing, but he wasn't. Thank God, God found him and channeled his heart to be set in the right direction, no longer misplaced, but in the right place, in the heart of Jesus. And this is the thing, is that nobody wants to choose evil for the sake of evil. Nobody chooses evil for the sake of evil. Instead, what happens is that the evil one masks evil with goodness, so that on the outside it looks appealing and good, but in the inside it is not. And this is how the devil fools us, so that we may misplace love and become prodigal. This is truly what the demonic is about. He makes evil look like a good thing, so that we may fall into temptation. I'm going to give you some examples of that. For example, a perfect example of misplaced charity are those who are abortion advocates, because they think they are helping women, but in the process, a tiny life is destroyed. Their misplaced charity makes them blind to true charity. True charity, instead, empowers both woman and child by respecting both lives. By the way, this is the reason why when November comes and when you get your ballot, we are going to say no to proposal number 3. Misplaced charity also happens within our own families. We all have a family member that may be irresponsible with their finances. We think that by bailing them out all the time after time, we are helping them. In the process, we misplace charity and we become enablers. The same happens with how we treat people who suffer addiction. Many times we enable their auto-destructive behavior. And those are people that we love. Once again, misplaced charity, thinking that we are helping, but instead we become enablers. We are actually harming them. That's the result of misplaced charity. Even more so, nowadays we misplace love under the disguise of inclusion, tolerance, and acceptance. There is a lot of people who are struggling emotionally in the world. And we think that we are helping them by saying yes to their every thought, desire, inclination, and behavior. For fear of losing the relationship, we turn a blind eye to the brainwashing that they are experiencing from society and from the agendas of the world. What is adultery if not misplaced intimacy? What is religious indifference if not misplaced worship? What is greed if not misplaced treasure? What is workaholism if not misplaced value of labor? Misplacing behaviors can have terrible consequences. In fact, in some cases, they can become deadly. Perhaps the Lord is inviting us today to see those areas of our hearts where love has been misplaced. And this is the good news, that no matter how far we have been misplaced or how far we have misplaced ourselves, the Lord is ready to embrace us back with great love and with great compassion. Like St. Paul said, I have been mercifully treated. And this is a challenge, that we want once again to place our hearts in the right place and never misplace them again. So that we may say with great confidence, I shall get up and go back to my Father, and I once was lost, but now I'm found. Amen.